we start with Woody Allen and this whole thing, because I just looked at the movie again last night, or watched the whole thing again, and it's a weird thing with these sort of middling Woody Allen movies for me, is that even unless they're absolutely terrible, like Celebrities or Irrational Man or something like that, I always find myself kind of enjoying them and kind of enjoying the vibe of them and the kind of you know, the laid back kind of, it's kind of plotless and there's like nice music and it looks really beautiful. Everyone's rich, especially in this movie. And I don't know. I'm not sure if you shared that same experience watching this again. I think it's particularly also the fact that, you know, we haven't had a Woody Allen movie in in your case, 3 years. That the return to that world was kind of a nice thing, despite the movie's many shortcomings. But
yeah, I mean, look, the difficulty he had, you know, like 20 years ago, 25 years ago, is that he likes doing movies about relationships, about courtship, you know, and he aged out of the roles that he usually played. And he went through a kind of a grotesque period where he was still trying to do these roles, and it just was kind of creepy. And then now he's aged out of understanding the world that he's writing about. So he has no conception of like what it's like to be in your 20s. He has no, and you know, he tries to make excuses for it by saying that maybe somebody is old fashioned, or they have, you know, this old fashioned taste or something like that. But no,
everyone in the world's frame of reference is the same. Everyone is talking about how their favorite director is Vittorio De Sica, which I know all my contemporaries can't get enough of him and Jean Renoir. You know, I mean, it's like, it's ridiculous.
And also, I'm looking at my review because I forgot about this. She said something like, he's like Sky Masterson. She's talking about her boyfriend.
Yeah. I don't even think I get that reference, honestly.
You don't even get that reference? Okay.
No, not really.
He's a guy from he's one of the characters in Guys and Dolls. Nathan Detroit and Sky Masterson. It's totally ridiculous. That's a musical from 1950.
Yeah.
So, you know, he has no conception about it, and he should just, well, you know, it's easy to say. I should say he should concentrate on people who are a little bit older, but who knows? I mean, maybe as an artist, that's all he's interested in. You know, he might just be interested in that period of life, but I think he should stay away from it anyway. Also, too, like in Irrational Man, that was the name of it.
With Joaquin Phoenix?
Yeah. I mean, that thing about how this guy's this radical professor and everybody's excited, just as a conceit, you know, that's like straight out of the 60s or 70s. And then the radical professor, the thing that was radical about him, if you remember, is that he said that if the Nazis arrive at your house and ask you, are you hiding any Jews, you're allowed to lie to the Nazis. And that was like really, really radical.
That movie, that was a painful movie. That was I think my first experience of, you know, doing the yearly, going to see the Woody movie, and then being like, oh my God, that was really embarrassing. That wasn't fun at all.
Anything else was for me. I thought anything else was pretty bad. I haven't seen it in a while, but
it was pretty bad. I saw it a while ago, and to me, it's a little bit more enjoyable because he's in it. And I honestly think there's something to be said for it. I wish he would just put himself in the movies, whether or not it's a ridiculous romantic role or anything. I mean, I would enjoy watching him deliver his own lines more than like Timothée Chalamet doing an impression of him or Elle Fanning doing kind of him, kind of Diane Keaton. I felt like she was doing in this movie.
That would be that would be interesting if he just does it like a straight up art film where he's playing, you know, 20-year-old guy. You just understand that no, he's just playing a 20-year-old guy, and this is just weird. Rather than him playing like a 70-year-old guy trying to make out with Charlize Theron. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because then you'd have like Woody Allen like sitting in a college classroom, which just would be funny just on its own. You know,
that would be great.
That's true, actually. Yeah. Because he's still good in those like Crisis in 6 Scenes. I thought he was really funny in, and that was the little mini series he did on It's not that good, but
that wasn't bad.
Watching him and Elaine May was kind of nice. And
that was okay. I like that. That was okay. And also that thing he did where he was just in John Turturro's movie. Did you see that? Where he was
I actually haven't seen that. The Fading Gigolo. Yeah, I haven't seen that.
That's pretty funny. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean,
the conceit of that movie was absurd. Of all the people who was servicing was like Sharon Stone, right? And like Sofia Vergara. Am I remembering this correctly?
Sofia Vergara needs to pay for sex. It's like, wow. Are you kidding me? I mean, it's ridiculous. Yeah. And Sharon Stone, that was like completely insane. That was, I couldn't believe my eyes. It's like, this is the role. John Turturro, we're waiting. What does John Turturro have to say about life? What is his statement? Here it comes. John Turturro gets paid by Sofia Vergara to have sex with him. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Did you listen, by the way, to Woody's audiobook, or have you read his autobiography they put out this year?
No, I didn't. I didn't. Is it interesting? It's good.
I listened to the audiobook, which he reads. And to me, that was also another thing where he's still delightful to listen to, and he's very funny. And I found it very entertaining. And that just to me is like, he's doing that when he's probably 84 or 83 years old. He's still very compelling. Listening to him talk about that. I would highly recommend it, particularly if you listen to him, because, it's just great to hear him be funny again,
Isn't like his birthday like right around now?
Yeah, I think it was like the first. Yeah, I think he just turned 85, right?
85, yeah,
which is continuing a trend for the two of us of meeting to discuss very elderly filmmakers and their bodies of work. Though I have to say, I don't think Woody is batting at the same level as Clint these days. I think.
Oh, maybe not these days, but overall, I mean, you look at Clint Eastwood, I don't think he got really great until he was pretty old. And Woody Allen, he has more good movies than any writer. And also, too, Woody Allen writes them, Mm-hmm. So if you compare Woody Allen to, essentially, the category that Clint Eastwood is competing in is the John Ford, Howard Hawks category of being like the big American director. Mm-hmm. And Woody Allen's competing in the category of writer-director. So he's in like the Preston Sturges,
Bergman,
Charlie Chaplin, that kind of league. And in that sort of league, Bergman is number one, but it's just, I'm looking right now at his filmography. It's just one, I was going to say one great thing after another. It's usually not one great thing after another. There's usually something in there that's not so great, but still, he hits a pretty good stride in the 70s and 80s.
I would say it's almost one great thing after another in that period. It's pretty, there's a few September isn't so great, but mostly really good and mostly great.
And September is not so great, but it's like, and another woman follows. But you got Zelig. Okay, Midnight Sex Comedy, it's okay.
Fine.
But it's not bad. But Zelig, Broadway Danny Rose, Purple Rose of Cairo, Hannah and Her Sisters, and Radio Days.
Right.
That's pretty incredible. And then you get September, Another Woman. Then you get his segment of New York Stories, which was the best thing in the movie.
Was it? Or I just saw it. I thought Scorsese's was the best. Well, we don't need to debate
you're right.
New York Stories, but Coppola's was the only really disaster, I think.
Yeah, the Coppola's wasn't good. No, yes, Scorsese's, but that was more of Nick Nolte. Although I did think it was funny where Woody Allen's mother in that says that the lie was something like, "Oh yeah, he was completely bald too."
and then also that's one of the mother appears in the sky. That whole thing is just great.
Yeah, I haven't seen this in a while, but anyway, so that's really good. Then he goes to a bad thing. Shadows and by the way, if you like any of these, let me know. Alice, Shadows and Fog. No. Husbands and Wives. I did not like when I saw it. I saw it again. I thought it was pretty good. Have you seen
Maybe I need to do that because I wasn't that crazy about it. Seeing that, I was going to ask. By the way, you seem to be putting Another Woman in the bad category. I thought Another Woman was really great, at least when I saw it 2 or 3 years ago. But maybe
Well, that's the one where
it's guided here. I don't know.
I shouldn't say it's not. I don't think it's bad. It's just, yeah, I just remember it's disappointing because it's not what I wanted it to be. But yeah, I think it was okay. I thought September was okay. Actually, I didn't think they were bad.
No, it's a fun movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to ask
Alice-
though, Alice is not good, I wouldn't say. And Showers and Fog isn't very good. I mean,
Yeah, Manhattan Murder Mystery is okay, but then Bullets Over Broadway is really good.
that's great. Yeah.
I thought Mighty Aphrodite was pretty funny.
If I could, yeah. No, I've seen all of them. I was actually gonna say there was a period right before my local video store closed that he had all the Woody movies, and I just went through all of them. So I have seen all of them. And I was actually gonna ask you about where you basically start with him. Like, at what point in your life are you going? Because I presume he's someone. You're not generally completist, I'm guessing, about most directors outside of your profession, but would you say Woody is probably someone who you would, even outside of your job?
The one movie of his, there is one movie I've never seen the whole thing of, and that is the guitar one with
Sweet and Lowdown.
Yeah, I've never seen that whole thing.
I thought it was pretty good. I mean, what was it that put you off of it?
I just wasn't interested in the subject, something I didn't review it, but that's the only one. So where did I start? With Woody Allen? Woody Allen, when I was in high school, was somebody that was like an intellectual taste for some people. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure I'd seen any of his movies until I was 18. I might have seen Sleeper on TV or something, which is really funny. But so, because he wasn't a complete surprise. So I might have seen Sleeper because that was rather popular. But then I saw Annie Hall when I was summer after I graduated high school. And that thing was like, that thing just landed like, oh man, it was just incredible. It was like a movie. Everybody had to see it. Everybody was falling out of their seats. It was just such a big deal. And it still plays today, I have to say. I saw it at the Castro a few years back. Probably before like all the Me Too stuff fallout, but it's still like, it wasn't even a huge crowd, but it played really well. And I really like how his movies, different things did get different laughs from different sides of the audience. There's some stuff that's more slapstick. There's certain jokes that are, some reference that someone gets. And oftentimes I find myself laughing at references I don't even understand, but just, you understand that they're funny nonetheless. Yeah. That's wonderful. It really does hold up, I think. Well, when the line that like in Annie Hall that I remember just cracking up because it's just such an insane reference is when he said, he says to Shelley Duvall something like, I think the orgasm has taken on like greater importance because of some other things in life. And she said, who said that? And he said, I think it was Leopold and Loeb. Yeah, you don't even know who Leopold and Loeb is? No. Okay. Leopold and Loeb. I mean, it's an absolutely completely insane reference. Leopold and Loeb were two guys. I think they were gay. They set out in the 1920s to commit the perfect crime, and they killed somebody just to try to do the perfect crime. And then they were arrested, and they were defended by Clarence Darrow, who got him not off, but he got him like life imprisonment instead of the death penalty. And that's Leopold and Loeb. And so to say that, that something about the orgasm and then say, I think it was Leopold and Loeb, it's so completely insane. And it doesn't even make sense once you know it. It's just funny. It even just kind of sounds funny. Like you just hear it and it's great. Yeah. I think it's Leopold and Loeb. Yeah. I just remember when we're talking about references, I just remembered in Rainy Day in New York, someone mentions that he thinks his girlfriend looks like Yasser Arafat or something like that. I was like, what? Another one of Chalamet's contemporaries. Yeah, nobody would even be thinking about Yasser Arafat anymore. Yeah, I was looking at when did he die, like 2004. I'm like, oh my God. This is probably, see, I can imagine this happening. I mean, right now, I'm at the stage where I make references, right, to like the 70s. And there's enough people who are my age that it's worth doing, because then they really crack up. They'll laugh. They'll think it's really hilarious. But when you get to like 85, then the references are just so obscure. And then you put them in the mouths of people who are 20. It doesn't make sense. Yeah.
I think it almost, for me, it becomes, I don't know. It's almost so like adorable to me. It sort of becomes funny in a different way, maybe in like a so bad it's good way. But I found myself like just like listening to some of Chalamet's lines early in the movie. It does get kind of tiresome, and I think the section with Elle Fanning is much worse than the section with Chalamet in the movie. Like, I prefer him and Selena Gomez walking around and kind of going to the museum was kind of nice, whatever. But the Elle Fanning thing is just it makes her out to be so stupid. And as a person who likes Elle Fanning a lot in a lot of movies, it kind of makes me sad, because she's doing a pretty passable like Diane Keaton impression in the movie, and it makes me imagine in a better era of Woody Allen she could actually get a really nice role. And it's probably not going to happen now because no one's working with him. But
I know, and I think I don't think it's real. I don't think it's
no, I don't think so. I mean, have I told you about the whole like note and all that stuff about how Mia Farrow left a note, and this is a photograph piece of evidence. This is not made up. A month before the allegation took place, where it said like father molded and abused one daughter, meaning Soon-Yi, now targeting youngest daughter, meaning Dylan. So she made this allegation that Woody is molesting the daughter a month before it actually happened. And it's like, I don't know, you have to be a genius to see what's going on here.
Well, the thing is that the desire to do this sort of thing among the people who desire doing it, I mean, it's like the worst thing you can do, and it's the most hated thing. It's like being a child molester is like, like the lowest form of life. So if you happen to be somebody who really wants to molest children, and you actually do it, you have to be somebody who is like, it's so overwhelming, this desire to do something like that it would be really, really weird that you're able to suppress this desire for 85 years minus one day. And then
that's the thing is, even Dylan and Mia don't make any allegation outside of that one incident.
Yeah.
And if you have any just a cursory knowledge of the behavior of people who prey on children, this is, especially if it's your own child who he was with throughout, for 7 years or whatever, how old she was. That part of it is really ridiculous. And also that it's in a house surrounded by other people, and the evidence has been disputed by a number of people, including his son Moses, who's written a thing about it. Yeah. But to me, particularly the fact that Mia is making allegations a month before they happen, that really kind of solidifies how ridiculous. And it's just sad that everyone seems to just, it seems like in most cases, if you just talk to people just assume it's true because of the sort of weird relationship with Soon-Yi, which also, again, is misinterpreted because he didn't live with her. He did not raise Soon-Yi. This is not a example of molding a young person, But
look, the guy's a little creepy,
Oh yeah, it's not appropriate to be cheating on your girlfriend with your girlfriend's daughter. I'm not going to stand behind that. That's
The guy's a little creepy, and he also likes. He has at least at one time, very young women, not all the time. He's had relationships with, women of normal age, but I think he had a girlfriend who was 16 or 17 in 1975 or 7 or something, somewhere in there, where supposedly it was one of the inspirations for Manhattan. Mm-hmm. But the thing is that, there's no correlation, even if you say, well, he should not be dating girls who are, high school juniors or seniors. Mm. There's no correlation between that and being attracted or having an impulse or whatever it is, whatever compulsion with regard to 7-year-old girls. They're totally unrelated things. So, he is kind of he's kind of a dirty old man in some ways, but I don't think he's a child molester. And
I just feel like people just sort of assume he fits the bill, you know, and also he's just not a very like, he seems like a very kind of not unpleasant guy, but a very nihilistic person and like a person who is very easy to see like being a bad person, I think. So I think
he just doesn't care, you know. He just doesn't care. And I just don't think, I mean, look, I don't want it to be true. So
I know that's what I'm always asking myself is like, look, I love this guy. I've seen all 50 of his movies, you know, how biased, you know, we could be biased in that situation. But on the other hand, it's like, you know, I love Bill Cosby as much as anyone as a child. And I have no problem saying, that those allegations, those are true.
Now the Bill Cosby thing is really weird because that's bizarre because this is a guy who very clearly didn't want to have sex with women who were conscious. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
This is a very peculiar and perverted predilection because he was a good-looking, young, successful man when this started.
Yeah.
I would imagine that he wouldn't have any trouble meeting women, but he was probably having a lot of trouble meeting unconscious women because they tend to be conscious when you meet them.
Oh my God.
They tend to stay conscious for most of the day. So in order to make them unconscious, you have to do an intervention. And that is so weird. The idea of like, that is the thing that really, you know, turns you on is making women unconscious. It's just so insane.
Oh my God.
That's crazy. Yeah. That one I have no trouble believing. Yeah. Because also there's like 30 of them, you know, or however many.
Yeah. I do think that makes a difference too. You know,
the Woody Allen thing, I don't believe, but I have to admit, I don't want to believe it. But also I have to notice that a lot of people do want to believe it, you know?
Yeah. But on the, I guess like, what's the basis that these people are believing it? Cause it's just one person's word. And it's also like the emotion of it too. Cause she went on that show and she was crying and I don't know. There's a whole thing that people in the like Sunyi and Moses have talked about of Mia Farrow sort of like thing where she's like making them, you know, take say they did something that they didn't do, or like she breaks a vase and then she makes Moses say that he broke the vase, like weird, like crazy shit like that.
Oh, really?
And he's talked about this, and I mean, again, it's like, you know, again, well, I don't want to just believe him rather than believe her, but I bet to me there's a lot of evidence, and also that it you know, he was investigated twice and he came up not guilty. Like that's another thing too. So I don't know. How do you feel like with, especially being like I would say semi-public figure, maybe not even semi, that you being a person who believes this, and do you have any kind of worry about being honest about that sort of thing, or
no, but I mean,
talking about it, or
it was not something I'd write about, but I mean, yeah, if it ever comes up, I looked at it every time something comes up about it, I do read it, and I haven't seen anything that's particularly persuasive. Mm-hmm. No, I don't worry about saying it, but on the other hand, I don't go out of my way to talk about it because I try to go out of my way not to talk about it. But one of the reasons why I try not to talk about it is because I don't want to give it any oxygen. Now, like when I reviewed Rainy Day in New York, I had to account for the fact that we haven't seen a Woody Allen movie in 3 years. And that so I have to account for why. Mm-hmm. But in fact, I talked to my editor about it. I said, I don't want to say anything that suggests that I said, I want to finesse this in such a way where I say why nobody has seen the movie, but I don't convey the idea that I believe it.
I think that was clear, but I already know what you think about it. So
yeah. But I don't want to get into it either, like, because I don't want to be, because then I have to really get more thorough about. I have to really get my facts lined up, and It's just not worth it. And he's not defending himself either. He just says it didn't happen. That's it.
Well, he isn't generally, but that's the thing. What's interesting about the book is he does. He really goes in on the case, and he really
does.
Yeah, he brings out, as they say, the receipts. Like he's bringing out evidence from the court and the testimony and witnesses and all these different things. He spends a big portion of the kind of last third of the book talking about why this isn't true.
Good.
Yeah, I mean, that's not the basis of my thinking, because I mean, he would say anything if he was guilty. And but I don't know. It is interesting to hear his sort of take on these things. And I certainly miss the kind of yearly experience though of going to these movies. And
yeah, I do too. And also too, I always wonder, it's like, is he ever going to make a good movie? Is he ever going to do it again? Do you know, because I haven't kept up with it, has he made 2 other movies since Rainy Day in New York?
He's made one movie that came out in Europe earlier this year, and it's funny because this is the kind of the first movie. Rainy Day in New York, he's still getting like, the swanky young, actors who are, but now it's like whoever will work with him. So the lead in his new movie is Wallace Shawn, and and who's married to Gina Gershon, which just right there is classic.
In the movie?
Yeah, in the movie. Yeah. And Gina Gershon's cheating on him with I think Louis Garrel, the guy from the Dreamers,
Yeah, sure.
And I mean, I obviously haven't seen it yet, but it looks, you can find the trailer for it. It looks kind of funny. And I certainly would rather see Wallace Shawn doing Woody's dialogue than young people.
I gotta check this out. Wallace Shawn would be okay.
Rifkin's Festival, it's called, by the way.
Rifkin's Festival. Let's see if it's available on Amazon in France.
I think I checked that.
Yeah, Amazon.fr. No, they just have a poster. That's it.
Oh man, that's too bad.
Yeah, because I could do that for my Stanford class, great movies that nobody's ever seen. Actually, I can't do that class, great movies that nobody's ever seen, because nobody will be able to get the movies that nobody can see. Right. So, by the way, the class right now, as we stand right now, just the people who've enrolled, we have 37. We had 42 in the last class, and the class is not for a month and 4 days. I think we're on track for like 75 people.
Was that just the class being about crises? So you think that was kind of a little bit lower?
I don't know.
This time around, because I noticed it was fewer people than the last 2, I think.
Yeah, well, the last
it was comedy. People like really.
Yeah, it was comedy, so everybody was there. Yeah, it was a very humorless class for comedy, which was really bizarre. It's like every time I do the comedy class, I just have a room full of people telling me why what I just showed isn't funny. It's every time. It's so weird. So everybody takes the class with the idea of laughing, and then I don't
want to sound like rude. I always find myself like trying to like what your taste in comedy is, in comparison to mine or to other people's, because we agree on a lot of things, but occasionally you'll show something I'm just like, what is this? This isn't funny at all. But generally when I read your reviews, most of the stuff that you praise, comedies you praise, I go and I like a lot.
Well, what do you remember any comedies that I thought that were funny and that you didn't think was funny?
Well, I just thought I think the Mel Brooks one was the weakest. And I remember we kind of said after class that it seemed like you picked the Prince of, what's it called? Men in Tights or whatever.
Yeah,
Robin Hood. I feel like you might have picked it just because it's like the lesser seen of the Mel Brooks movies.
Yeah, I would show Young Frankenstein, of course.
Yeah. And we were sort of saying like, I think people would rather see something that they've already seen that they really like rather than something that's just, okay. But there was some, I really enjoyed revisiting Duck Soup in that class, and which I had seen a long time. That is a hysterically funny movie.
I'm looking forward to being back in the room. My friend, who I often talk about, a very good friend who's a doctor and also owns the medical research place, is getting his vaccine December 17th.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So this is going to start rolling out pretty soon, especially after Biden is president, because, he'll make sure that you can get it in the blue states too, and all that stuff.
I'd hope so. Yeah. I really enjoyed, by the way, the last class though, particularly like there were a lot of good movies in that one. And it was a nice, like, I really enjoyed the discussion. I mean, it's one thing to hear about, the Cold War and that sort of thing from reading about it, but it's another thing to hear people's, stories about living through stuff like that. That was really a great.
Yeah, it was good. And as we got closer to history, then, more people remembered more things. Mm-hmm. Are you old enough to remember 9/11?
Not really. I think I was probably I was 4 at the time. So my parents I'm guessing probably weren't like, sitting in front of a TV to watch that sort of thing.
So that's 1997?
Yeah.
And what month?
May 4th.
Oh, that's right. We were talking about that.
Yeah, I think so.
So then on 9/11, you were almost the same age as I was for Kennedy's assassination. We were talking about that.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. But you remember that.
I was 2 months older than you were. And those could be 2 crucial months in terms of what is recorded in memory, like really, really deep memory.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know.
I don't know. Because I have to say, like, everybody I know who was born in 1960 does not remember Kennedy's assassination. And most people that I know who were born in 1959 do remember Kennedy's assassination. So it seems like something between 3 and 4 is different. I do remember things that happened when I was 3. And me and my mother proved that I actually remember something that happened when I was 2, which is really incredible.
Actually, I do. That's actually true. And that probably kind of speaks to that. Maybe I was just kind of, sheltered away from, watching the Twin Towers be destroyed, because I do remember my brother was born in January of 2001. And I do remember that. And I remember one thing in 2000, I think, like someone died or something. I do have a memory of that. But yeah, I think probably I didn't. I remember actually, like, years later, maybe 12 years later, kind of, it's not that I didn't know about 9/11, but I remember there was a certain year where I sort of, maybe it was like 10-year anniversary or something like that, where I sort of was really looking at different works of art and different things and news reels and stuff, what happened on 9/11 and responses to it. Like, obviously, like Spike Lee's movie, but also the album Bruce Springsteen did and stuff like that. I remember writing about that in a class or something like that. But yeah.
My oldest memory, which I thought happened when I was 3 or 4, but then my mother and we dated it, and I was in a crib, so I had to be like at most, and the absolute most, 2 years and 4 months, something like that. Mm-hmm. But then everything goes dark for a while and then comes back. It's funny how that works. But anyway, yeah. So what else would you like to talk about?
Oh yeah, I don't want to keep you for too long. I don't really have much. I mean, we sort of covered Woody and whatever, and I don't know. I always hope he's gonna bounce back. I mean,
me too.
It's always like I feel like at the most it's been like he's had 4 years where he does something, he doesn't do anything good, and then he usually comes back with something. And
yeah, and the thing is that he is able to. He renews himself like with something really good, Mm-hmm. That's like a big surprise. Like I remember, well, I'd like to get it up on the screen.
Well, I would say for one that I can think of is Match Point follows, I think, a pretty dark period.
That's it. That's
not a lot of super great stuff, and also it's a very different movie to anything you'd ever done.
That's exactly the one I was going to mention, because Match Point, when Match Point happened, I was at the stage where I was saying, I guess he's done, Mm-hmm. And then you get Match Point. Scoop, I really liked.
It's a funny movie. I mean,
yeah, I really liked it. Cassandra's Dream, it's actually okay. It's not bad. I saw it in Venice.
Oddly, I like that one a lot. I don't know why that is, but yeah, I like that one.
When I was in Venice, I said I would give it 3 stars. I thought it was like 3 out of 4. Yeah. And then Vicky Cristina Barcelona is really good.
Very good.
Then Whatever Works is not so good. You'll Meet a Tall Dark Stranger is not so good. Bad. So again, you think, okay, I guess he's finished. And then, and then you get Midnight in Paris.
Yeah, great. His biggest movie ever in terms of numbers. Yeah. And it is a great movie.
Love, Nothing, and then boom, Blue Jasmine.
Yeah. That's probably the last very good movie, I would say. And
I would say that's the last exceptionally good movie. Magic in the Moonlight's okay. Irrational Man's bad. Cafe Society's not that good, but it's not terrible. If it was somebody else's movie, it would be all right.
My memory is really liking Cafe Society, not on like a pretty good level, like
Who likes it?
I did. I like Cafe Society, definitely a little man clapping. It's not anything close to great, but I remember liking it.
I remember sort of liking it, but I'm trying to remember what I said about it. I say so it's Blake Lively.
You said nothing. I think you said something like nothing happens in it, but it's fairly pleasant or something like that.
Yes, I did. That's what I said. I said it's a I gave it a little man clapping. So, and is this one? Kristen Stewart is in this, right?
Yeah. It was Kristen Stewart. Jesse Eisenberg was a pretty good sort of Woody avatar, and it was the first movie he did with Turturro, which he's worked with Turturro for the last few movies, the cinematographer.
Yeah, right.
And I really like what he's been doing in the Woody movies. The newer ones have looked really great.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And you actually positively reviewed Wonder Wheel, which I wasn't as crazy about, but
Wonder Wheel, yeah, I gave that a good review. So that was it for him. I mean, it's very possible that the hostility of the world towards him is going to have an impact on whether he's able to work or not. I mean, I'm not saying that he'll be able to work, but maybe that might dry him up a little bit.
You kind of alluded in the Rainy Day review to kind of the kind of insularity of the movie and how it kind of feels like someone who doesn't get. In fact, I think you said Woody needs to get out more.
He needs to get out more. Yeah. What I forgot what I was referring to, but it was some.
Oh, it was just about the kind of the affluence of everyone in the movie, and everything was just kind of like everyone's at the Carlisle or whatever, and but in a way you can kind of understand, because I mean I wouldn't want to go out if I was Woody Allen. I mean I could just imagine what kind of things people are yelling at him in the street. But
I know, I wonder. It's, I don't know what he could do to fix it. I
don't think there's anything other than if Mia Farrow comes clean or something like that. Which I don't think will happen.
No, she's mad. You don't mess with Mia Farrow. I think that's the bottom line here. I mean, don't, yeah, you don't get her mad.
Yeah,
definitely not.
I think he's probably just going to work in Europe for the rest of his career. I think because they seem to have no problem with it.
Yeah, no problem. They don't care if it's true in Europe.
Yeah, they don't. They're happy to release Polanski's movies. I mean, which by the way are still. He's actually doing better than Woody in terms of quality. But
did you see this? The movie he had in Venice? I didn't see it.
The one about Dreyfus Affair.
Yeah.
It's very good. I could send it to. I think I may have sent it to you before, but I could.
If I don't have occasion to watch, you know what I mean. If
okay.
I won't watch it.
Okay.
To see.
But
I got my list. I got my list of movies I'm going to be seeing in the next 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, I was just going to ask you, by the way, if you need to go.
No, I'm good. When I get off with you, I have to just finish. I have to take a news story that I wrote and turn it into a column, which is actually the best kind of editing idea that somebody could give me to tell me to do take a news story I wrote and turn it into a column is really easy. Somebody tell me to take a column and turn it into a news story is like impossible.
Right.
My own impulse is in the column direction, but that's all I have to do. That'll take me about 45 minutes. It's not a big deal.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, well, to close out the Woody thing, I think I'm hopeful for his future prospects, just looking at the lifespans of his parents, because they both lived to be like 100 or something like that, or 98. So
one was like 98, the other was like 101, something crazy.
Yeah, so we could very well get 15 more Woody Allen movies before he's gone, and I certainly hope so.
And and the odds are like 2 of them will be really good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
incredible.
True. But
I'd like to see him do. I think maybe that's the best thing he can do for himself is to make a great movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the thing is people just seem to. It's funny how people's morals sort of shift about these sort of things, because people will completely be fine saying, we should not show Roman Polanski movies. Roman Polanski, who genuinely is, I think, guilty. But the same people who are like he is completely canceled and we just hate him will still be like, but I really like Rosemary's Baby. I really like The Pianist, and I'm still going to hold on to this, even though we need to reject all of his work. So often it seems like it's more just about quality than about, actual moral grandstanding.
I think to an extent that's true. To an extent it works that way. It can't, if he was like, renewing his crimes every 2 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that would be different too.
Yeah, but if it's something that's buried in the 70s, it's possible. Do you ever see The Girl? It's like incredible. You see, like, call up a picture of the girl.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, it's like absurd. Yeah,
She looked like she was not like the 14-year-old girl, the supposedly 14-year-old girl who's probably 20 in Raging Bull. She looked like she was about 11 years old. It was.
Oh yeah, and I mean, the whole situation. Even if she had looked a certain way. I mean, what, he drugged her. There's all sorts of horrible.
No, it's horrible either way. But what I'm saying is that he couldn't have not known.
Oh yeah.
It's like it's not like he made a mistake or something like in Raging Bull with
She's a very interesting character, by the way. The
real woman.
Yeah, she's a very interesting person, because I would say in recent years, especially on Twitter, there is no person who is more defending against the people who are trying to cancel Roman Polanski than her, because she just feels like they're almost sort of tethered in a way, and that she has what she's talked about. I could send you an article or interview with her, because she's talking about how, she's gotten over the kind of, she's put it in her past and said, like, this is a terrible thing that happened to me. I want to move past this. I'm 50 something years old, but it's like people are re-traumatizing, kind of opening this wound of what's happened, when she's like, the justice system failed. They screwed me over just as much as they screwed over Polanski. And now these people are just trying to keep this thing going, in most part, to either stimulate their careers or their own ego. And
the justice system did screw up. Part of the reason they screwed up is because they gave him mixed signals too, because they told him he was going to get off if he did this, and then he did that, and they started signaling that he was going to go to jail anyway. So he thought he did his time, and then he realized that there was a possibility that they could throw the book at him, so he left. Yeah. That's what happened.
But anyway, to get off the topic of Roman Polanski, I was just going to ask about I was curious about the state of your top 10 list for the year. This is the final topic here, because every year I try to predict what appears on your list, and basically it's pretty easy, because I can just look at whatever you've given the highest rating, which is like 20 movies or something, and guess from there. But this year I don't know how I'm going to guess. I don't know.
This. We're not even going to have. I mean, I think I'll have a top 10 list, but it won't be like a normal thing. I'm looking at. Okay, so, I mean, I look at these things. Okay,
I don't mean to like quiz you, by the way.
No, because I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to be doing this over the weekend. I'm going to be looking at this.
But I'm curious, by the way, do you keep a list? Like, do you keep like a spreadsheet of like what you've given each rating? Or I'm very curious about this.
No, I'm not nearly that organized. It's funny to look at the movies from February. I mean, I remember being in these movies, but it feels like a different world,
I know. Like, I can't believe like us watching Revanche in your class was like this year, like that sort of thing.
And Birds of Prey, right?
That's the bottom for you, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, that would be the bottom. But I'm just saying, like, it doesn't. Let's see. I'm going to take a look. What was the last movie that I actually saw in the theater?
Invisible Man was one of the last. Onward, maybe.
Onward.
The Pixar one.
That wasn't the First Cow was one of the last. It's possible that the one was. I think the last one may have been Always, Sometimes, Rarely, Never was one of the last. Mm-hmm. First Cow was one of the last. What happened is that at a certain point, I think The Hunt may have been the last one.
Okay.
And I remember, because it was like I suddenly found that I'd gone to the other world. I had crossed into the world we're in now, because I was sitting there, I was wearing gloves and a big mask, and I was worried about it. And I'm watching a whole auditorium of people who couldn't care less. They're not worried about it. And I'm thinking, are they crazy, or am I crazy? And I told my editor, I said, I can't do this anymore. I can't go to screenings.
Yeah.
I said, I can go to private screenings, but I can't go to big public screenings anymore. And And he said, no, that's fine, And then 5 days later, the whole thing just collapsed. But I don't know it's going to be in my top 10. It's going to be maybe it won't be a regular top 10 or.
Well, oddly, First Cow I'm seeing at the top of everyone's lists this year, which I have the Blu-ray right here. I haven't watched it yet, but I don't remember it being that positive from you. I don't remember.
No, it's okay. But, I'm not generally crazy, except for Wendy and Lucy. I'm not that crazy about Kelly Reichardt's movies. I always think that there's not enough story in them. And in fact, to such an extent that she asked if we could have me not review.
Really?
Yeah. Which I understand, but I wound up reviewing First Cow anyway.
How was she able to even make a request like that? She just comes in and says
through the publicist. The publicist said, Kelly Reichardt is hoping maybe you won't review it because you don't really like her stuff. And I said, well, actually, I don't dislike her stuff, and I like this one and like this one less. But it is true, though, that she tends to get better reviews from most critics than from me.
Yeah.
Always for the same reason,
People, I didn't really like Certain Women that much. That's the only one I've seen. I don't
Certain
know.
Women, is that the one where they're like in the crossing the West or something?
No, it was it's kind of anthologies. There's one with Laura Dern and there's one with Kristen Stewart where I think Kristen Stewart is she teaches like a night class, and there's a girl who's the same age as her, and they kind of fall in love or something. That section was okay. And then
did I do that one?
I believe you did. I think you said something like it was boring, but boring the way real life is, or something like that. I don't know, but
that was
Michelle Williams is in that one too. Yeah,
who was in there?
Michelle Williams.
Michelle Williams is great. Oh yeah. Oh wow. You have a better memory from my stuff than I do. Yeah.
Well, it might be also because you write these things, and I'm probably reading them actually more recently than you've written them. But
it's funny. It's amazing how I don't remember my own stuff. But it's also fun to go back and read it because it's like a surprise. It's the usual Kelly Reichardt, Little Man Interested. I said, there's something to be said for using cinema to present life as it's actually lived, to eschew cheap dramatics, to avoid cliche and formula, to stay true to some inner sense of what is authentic, real. These are practices and aspirations to be praised. The only difficulty is that real life is often boring. It's so boring that people have been known to leave the house, drive for miles, and actually pay to sit in a big room with a screen on one side just to see the reflection of more exciting reality. So yeah, here we go. Yeah, I can see where she doesn't want me to.
Yeah, I guess I can see that. I mean, I don't know. I have to say, I kind of have not a high opinion of her, just given what she said about Tarantino's movie last year, because
what she said
that it was like too macho and it was like no good. And I was like, oh, please, just give me a break. But of course, that's a movie I saw like 7 times in the theater and I'm kind of obsessed with. But I remember when I saw that movie, I think having read your review, I thought you should have said, instead of saying it's boring like real life, you should have said it's watching people in real life would be less boring than watching this movie. Because I felt like that's the threshold a movie crosses, where it's like, if I could just sit on the street and watch someone, waiting for the bus and to be more entertained than this movie, then I think that's a problem.
Yeah. And also,
that's how I felt about it.
And just because it's real life, it would be, it would be more interesting. I mean, fiction has a certain obligation to be more interesting because just by virtue of it being fiction, it's less important, right?
Yeah.
So if it's like really amazing, then it's not less important. But if it's just exactly the same in terms of entertainment as real life, then real life is. I mean, that's why it's very rare. It's not very rare, but most documentaries get good reviews, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Because it's real life, and so it has a certain built-in importance. So unless they totally screw it up, which they can, but it's very rare you see a documentary that's like a little man sleeping, a 1-star documentary or something.
Yeah. I mean, again, feel free to excuse yourself if you'd like to. But what you're saying makes me think about a question I'm always thinking about of movies, which is, what is that threshold of what, when something is just slice of life and really, actually Tarantino's movie last year had a lot of scenes, Brad Pitt feeding his dog, watching TV, that were utterly wonderful to watch. And like, what is the point where, because I've watched so many movies where, do you ever see that movie Patterson with Adam Driver?
Yeah. I saw
the
that.
Bus driver, like that movie where, at least for me, he's just driving a bus, he's writing poetry. It's utterly sort of mundane activity, but I thought it was very compelling. But then like what makes something like that then cross over to the land of being boring, like something like Certain Women? Like I don't know what that is, because it's not like Patterson is dramatic in any kind of narrative way or in any kind of cinematic way. It's about as dramatic as an everyday someone's life. I don't know really what the answer is.
I don't know, but it's sometimes to do with that. I mean, sometimes it's because even though what you're seeing, you can't understand why it's important. It maybe has something to do with what the movie's about. Like that guy who made Revanche.
Yeah.
Right. Or get a better example, the guy who made 4 months, 3 weeks, and 2 days, right?
Okay. Yeah.
That guy, he makes a movie about a Romanian guy trying to get his daughter into a London school. I forgot.
Graduation.
Yeah. And there's there's scenes in there where he goes home and he like makes dinner and he sits down and eats it. And it's like, why is this interesting?
Yeah.
And I feel like it probably is interesting because at every moment, maybe the movie's about his character, and every moment we're getting information. I think that audiences feed on information.
Mm-hmm. Does it reveal something about who he is? Which some of these movies, I think you're just watching a blank. It's not really telling you anything. You're just watching someone walk down the street.
Yeah, but it's not random information. It's got to be like, I think that like in the beginning of a movie, that's why everybody, like in the beginning, it's very rare a movie loses you in the first minute. I've seen it done. But most of the time, I have seen it done. But most of the time, you say, okay, I'm with this, because the movie's saying to yourself, they're saying to everybody, this is what the movie's about. Mm-hmm. This is what we care about. This is what we're concerned about. And then everything that follows is giving you information that nourishes you in the subject that you have been alerted to be interested in. And when you start getting information that's like extraneous, something happens and you start getting a doubt. You start getting that feeling of, so why?
Yeah, who cares? Yeah.
Yeah, but if the movie, like if you're watching the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, in a way, the movie is about the friendship of these two guys. And it's about these two guys, so that if you're watching Brad Pitt at home, you're probably interested in watching Brad Pitt at home because you've seen him at work, and you've seen him, and you're kind of checking out the fact that he's not as rich as the other guy. Mm-hmm. And you're checking out the fact that to the extent to which he seems he minds that he's not as rich as the other guy, which is like, doesn't seem to mind very much. Yeah, no,
it's all about his contentment with his lot in life in comparison to the DiCaprio who's falling over himself because he has to go to Italy to do Westerns,
That's right. Yeah. So I think that if you look at, of course, it could be that some people are just so charming as filmmakers that no matter what they show you, you're going to be interested in, and then after the fact, come up with a reason for why people will be interested. So maybe it's just the mystery of somebody being interesting. But I think that even then, it would be true that there is some information being conveyed. It's just that they alert you to what it is that you're supposed to care about, and they tell you this is what we care about, and then they can keep feeding you, and they only feed you some real calories as opposed to junk food, because the junk food is the stuff that they just tell you some other stuff, and it's like, well, yeah, but why do we care about that? I don't care.
Revanche, I think, is a very good example of that, because that movie, until the big, inciting incident of the movie, which is a decent, 40 something minutes, it feels like I felt like he's showing you the life of the cop and like all these other things, where at least when I'm watching it for the first time, I'm going, who is this? Why am I following this person? But for whatever reason, the assurance with which he shows it makes you understand that this is important. And it wasn't making me go, I don't care. It was making me go, oh, I want to put the pieces together. And then when they come together, you're like, oh shit. It was seriously, that was honestly one of the, I think actually the two best movies I watched for the first time this year were Through Your Class, Failsafe and Revanche. Those are really just wonderful movies.
Have you ever seen this other movie?
Antares?
Antares, yeah.
No, I have. I think it's on Criterion. I've been meaning to watch it.
It's on Canopy for sure.
Canopy.
It may be on Criterion. That I just watched. I watched about half of it last night because I wanted to recommend it and I wanted to just refresh my memory.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not as good as Revanche, but it has a little bit of that quality that Revanche has of like watching people from a kind of a distance of accepting them and observing them. He has like a godlike distance when he's watching.
Yeah.
And one of the weird things about Antares, you couldn't show in a movie theater because it has sex scenes in it that are protracted sex scenes that I'd be curious what you think. I think they're actually having sex. I think, and they're,
when I see it, I'll let you know. I don't know.
I mean, for sure they're having oral sex. I mean, that's definitely happening because you see it. That that's happening. But I mean, they may actually be having actual, coitus sex, and this is like having, these are real actors. It's not like these are like porn stars. And these are people in their 40s with real careers. So, so you really would be weird to show in an American movie theater.
Yeah.
But what's funny about that is when you're watching it, it's not like an arousing kind of thing. It's not like porn. It's not porn anyway, but it's not like porn in its intent. Its intent is the same thing. It's like you're watching these people from a distance, and it feels like it has an effect. When I was thinking, what is he saying? It feels like these people should be doing what they're doing. It feels like these people are very, very alive at this moment, but it's not like he has such a point of view that he is able to it's magical the way he's able to just convey what's in his mind, showing you pictures, and then you have it in your mind too. Of course, part of it's imaginary, but I have to say, when I watch Revanche, I wrote the review, and then 2 years later, I'm watching the Criterion. I'm watching him get interviewed, and basically he's repeating my review. So I totally so what he put on there, I understood. So it's very clear what he's doing, but I don't know how he does it.
It's wonderful. Yeah. I wish he would make more movies. I feel like he hasn't done much since then. I'm not sure if you saw the one movie he made since then, but
October or something.
Yeah. October or something like that. Yeah.
It's not that good.
Huh. That's too bad.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
And he hasn't done anything for 7 years after that. It's like,
and the movie he made before that, I mean, they're not bad. Then he's not capable of doing something, stupid or anything. But it just doesn't quite. It's not a masterpiece. Whereas Revanche is, and Antares is that how you pronounce it?
I don't. I'm not sure how you say it. Yeah, spelled like that.
Yeah. Hey, I better run just because I have to do this story.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Thanks for joining me, Mick. It was great to talk about all this stuff. And
am I going to see you? Are you going to be in the class?
I will be. We always end up signing up kind of later.
Oh, no, I like that. It's great because I'm able to look at my enrollments and then say, yeah, but I got these other 4 people coming in. I think right now I got you and your father and then Marty and Michael Siegel who haven't signed. So I think I got 4. So I think I have 41 enrollments.
Oh, well, all of us will be in there. But yeah, I look forward to the class. I look forward to reading your top 10. Are you going to review Tenet, by the way? Because that's coming out like on digital. Did you see it yet?
No. I'm gonna see it. I'm gonna see it. I'm gonna get it
Oh my God.
Tuesday, I guess.
Yeah, that if there's any movie that is so like not something you would like, I feel like
Really?
I really liked it, but I enjoyed it a lot. But I have a hard time imagining you would have any patience for it because it's just you already are not a big Nolan guy anyway.
Not big. Not why. Well,
I don't want to set you up, but I mean, it just I'm sure I won't influence you anyway.
I loved.
Yeah, Dunkirk is amazing.
Dunkirk I loved. And Inception was a very weird case. Okay, so I had a friend come over. My wife was out of town, so we were going to watch Inception. This is what we're doing. We're going to watch Inception, and I had some weird thing happen with my left foot. It was the craziest thing. I had this thing. It's called, I found out what it was, but I didn't know what it was, but it was this thing called Tarsal tunnel syndrome, not carpal, tarsal.
Uh-huh.
And it was a nerve thing that was happening. I was just lying on, I was lying down on the couch. All of a sudden, it was like an electrical pain that was really, really bad. And that the way it felt was, it was like a pain that would go from my foot up through the top of my head in like a split second.
Wow.
And it was excruciating. And it was coming out of nowhere. It would be like, I'm minding my own business. So it's like nothing it's like, I'm not doing anything.
Oh my God.
Like that. And so, and it started happening during Inception. So I'm wondering what the hell's going on. And so what it was this thing, and all I had to do wasn't that big a deal. I just had to wear inserts in my shoes, and I had to have my foot basically not hit the ground except on an insert for like 2 months. And since then, it hasn't happened. Well, actually, it happened once when I was wearing very tight socks. But it hasn't happened since, thank God. And I can't run anymore, but I can walk. I walk like an hour and a half a day. But I can't really run anymore because that could do it. So I have to be not doing. I mean, I could run like if I'm running for the. Why not take the bus? But if I was running for the bus, I could do like short bursts. And now I could be barefoot and do yoga classes and things like that. And it doesn't.
That's good.
But
the movie itself, did you have any opinion? Because I've been curious about what you like. Inception.
It is. That's like a real. Aside from your foot exploding and you think you have a fatal disease, Mrs. Lincoln had you like the play,
Oh, so you never went back to it, like outside of the whole thing.
I associate it with pain. Yeah. So I've only seen half of Inception.
Okay. See,
it was interesting.
Well, yeah, for me, it's my favorite of his movies, and it's one of my favorite movies of all time. But I've always been curious what you think. In fact, I think I wrote in a question to the column, I wrote a question that sort of invited you to ask it, but didn't ask it overtly. And then you answered it in a different way where you didn't say what you thought of Inception. No, which now I understand. But
because I didn't want to see
reason
it.
Now. Yeah.
Because it's very hard for me to, if the moment is past and I am not reviewing it, I'm not doing top 10 consideration. I'm not doing anything like that. The year has passed. It's all past. To go back and see a recent movie is very difficult for me because if I'm going to sit down to enjoy myself, watch a movie, I want to watch something that, foreign that I've never seen or something ancient. But to see like a movie from 2016 or 2010, it just feels like...
No, I understand that. Oddly, I have some of the same feelings sometimes with the long list of stuff I have. Yeah. Did you ever finish Interstellar, by the way? Because I remember the screening went out, and I was wondering if you ever finished it or no.
Finished it.
Really?
That's a really funny case because that movie I was going to give a very good review to, and everybody says in the last 20 minutes the movie goes to hell. No,
I wouldn't say so. I mean, I think it gets weird, but I wouldn't say. I know I've seen it a number of times. I think it's one of his best. In fact, those might be two of my favorite of his movies, I would say. I would say both are worth it watching, at some point.
I really liked Interstellar and the whole thing just blew up 20 minutes before the end. It was just really weird. And so we had a choice whether to have me review it and just say I haven't seen the last 20 minutes, or we got a freelancer who had already seen it and we had him do it.
That's funny that you have no compulsion after seeing that much of the movie to not see. If I see part of a movie and I miss the rest of it, I'm like, losing my mind. But
it depends, if it's even if it's a good movie, like Interstellar, which I thought was good, even very good. If it's not like in a genre that I particularly like, I really don't care what happens. I have to like really care what happens. Like if I'm watching some Jennifer Aniston movie and is she really going to wind up with Dermot Mulroney or something at the end? Yeah, then I'll care to watch it. But adventure, action, all these like male genre kind of things. I'm really much more interested in women things. That's just really I like chick flicks, that stuff like that.
I can understand that, I guess.
Yeah,
But anyway, Mick, thanks for joining me.
All right.
Well, I'll probably see you not until next year. So have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Yeah, I'll see you 6 days before Biden -6.
Right.
All right.
Take care, Mick. Later.
Bye-bye.